The moment that still burns in my chest happened under warm chandelier light, with wine glasses, clinking and everyone smiling, like this was supposed to be the happiest dinner of our lives. When my mom stood up, tapped her spoon against her glass, looked straight at my sister and said, "She's the daughter I'm proud of." I felt my stomach drop so hard it was like the floor disappeared. I was sitting right there. I had helped plan the dinner. I had paid for the reservation. And then seconds later, the waiter appeared and gently set the bill down in the middle of the table like it weighed 100 pounds. It was $1,980. That was the exact moment. I realized this night was never meant to celebrate me at all. So tell me honestly, before you hear how this ended, was I wrong for what I did next? Or would you have done the same thing in my place? To understand why that toast shattered something in me, you need to know my family dynamic from the very beginning. Growing up, it always felt like there were two different rule books in our house, and my sister lived by the easy one. She's 3 years younger than me, prettier in that effortless way, louder, more charming, the kind of person who walks into a room and immediately pulls focus without even trying. I was the quiet one, the responsible one, the kid who did their homework without being asked and learned early that praise in our house was a scarce resource. My mom never hid her favoritism very well. When my sister got a B, it was, "You tried your best, sweetheart." When I got an A-, it was, "What happened to the other points?" My dad noticed it too, but he was the kind of man who avoided conflict like it was a disease. He would give me that sad, apologetic look and tell me to just let it go, that my mom didn't mean anything by it. But after years of letting it go, something inside me hardened. I moved out as soon as I could and built a life that was entirely mine. I worked brutal hours, saved every extra dollar, and climbed my way into a solid career. No one handed me anything. No safety nets, no surprise checks, no just-in-case money. Meanwhile, my sister bounced between majors, quit jobs she found boring, and somehow always landed on her feet because my mom was there, smoothing everything over. Rent paid, car fixed, credit card debt quietly handled. Every family gathering felt like a performance where I was the background character and she was the star. The dinner that changed everything was supposed to be a turning point. My sister had just gotten engaged, and my mom insisted we all go out to celebrate. She picked the restaurant, a high-end place downtown with cloth napkins and menus without prices. I suggested something more casual, but my mom waved me off and said, "It's a special occasion." What she didn't say out loud, but what I would later understand perfectly, was that it was special for my sister, not for the family as a whole. When the reservation came up, my mom casually mentioned that she was a little tight this month, and joked about how kids should treat their parents sometimes. Against my better judgment, I said I'd cover it. I told myself it was fine, that it was just money, that maybe this would finally earn me some appreciation. The night started well enough. My sister showed off her ring. My mom gushed. My dad nodded along. I smiled, laughed when appropriate, and tried to ignore the familiar knot in my chest. We ordered appetizers without looking at prices. Bottles of wine appeared. My sister ordered the most expensive entree without hesitation. I stuck with something modest, even though I was paying, because old habits die hard. Every time the waiter came back, I felt my anxiety spike just a little more, but I kept telling myself it was okay. This was family. This was what you do. Then came the toast. My mom stood up, glass raised, eyes shining. She talked about dreams coming true, about love, about how proud she was to have raised such a wonderful daughter. She never once mentioned me. Not my help, not my support, not even a polite nod in my direction. When she said those words, "She's the daughter I'm proud of," something inside me finally snapped. I looked around the table, waiting for anyone to notice how that landed. My sister looked pleased. My dad stared down at his plate. No one said a word. That's when the waiter arrived with the bill. It felt symbolic in a way that almost made me laugh. $9.80, nearly $2,000. For a dinner where I had just been publicly reminded that I was still second place, still invisible. I stared at that number while my mom kept talking, her voice fading into background noise. In that moment, I realized I had been buying my own erasure for years, paying for dinners, covering emergencies, stepping in quietly while my sister soaked up the praise. I had told myself it was about being the bigger person, about keeping the peace, but all it had done was teach them that my role was to give and stay silent. So that was the situation I was in. Sitting there with the bill in front of me, my mom glowing with pride over my sister, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause for a second and really think about it. If you were in my shoes, after a lifetime of being overlooked, after being humiliated like that in public, what would you have done? Would you have swallowed it again? Or would this have been your breaking point? I picked up the bill slowly, feeling every eye on me now. My mom finally noticed the movement and smiled at me, that familiar expectant smile, like this was just another thing I was supposed to handle. And something about that smile made my decision crystal clear. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene right away. I just said very calmly, "I'm not paying for this." The table went silent. My sister blinked like she hadn't heard me correctly. My mom laughed, a short, dismissive sound, and said, "Don't be ridiculous." That's when I stood up. I told them in a steady voice that surprised even me, that I was done being treated like an ATM and an afterthought. I reminded my mom, right there in the restaurant, that I had offered to pay, thinking this was a family celebration, not a one-woman tribute. I said that if she was proud of one daughter, then that daughter could start taking on the responsibilities too. My sister's face went red. My dad finally looked up, panic written all over him. My mom tried to shush me, hissing that I was embarrassing her, and that was it. Years of swallowed words came pouring out. I talked about the double standards, the constant comparisons, the way my achievements were always minimized. I said I was tired of earning my place, with my wallet while never earning her approval. People at nearby tables were definitely listening by then, but I didn't care. For once, I wasn't shrinking myself to make her comfortable. When I finished, I put some cash down for my own meal, enough to cover what I personally ordered plus tip, and said, "The rest is on you." Then I walked out. I wish I could say it felt instantly amazing. Like some movie moment where the music swells and you stride into the night victorious. The truth is, my hands were shaking when I got to my car. I sat there for a long time, just breathing, half expecting my phone to start blowing up. And it did. My mom called first, then my sister, then my dad. I didn't answer any of them. I drove home feeling lighter and heavier at the same time. The fallout was messy. My mom left voicemails accusing me of ruining the night, of being selfish, of keeping score. My sister texted me that I was jealous and dramatic. My dad sent a long message asking me to apologize so we could move on. And for the first time, I didn't. I told him I was done moving on without anything changing. That if they wanted a relationship with me, it would have to be built on respect, not obligation. Weeks passed. Then months. The silence was uncomfortable, but also peaceful. I realized how much emotional energy I had been pouring into a relationship that gave me so little back. Eventually, my dad reached out again, this time acknowledging quietly that things hadn't been fair. My mom never apologized, not really. She offered a half-hearted, "I'm sorry you felt that way," which told me everything I needed to know. I didn't cut my family off completely, but I changed the terms. I stopped paying for things. I stopped bending over backward. And interestingly, once the money dried up, so did a lot of the entitlement. My sister had to start figuring things out on her own. My mom had to adjust to not having me as her safety net. It wasn't easy and it wasn't pretty, but it was honest. Looking back, that 1,980 bill was the best money I never spent. It forced me to see my worth clearly, without the filter of guilt and obligation. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do, for yourself and for others, is to stop enabling bad behavior. And I learned that pride, real pride, shouldn't be conditional. So that's my story. That's how a single toast and a heavy bill finally pushed me to stand up for myself, after a lifetime of being overlooked. If you were on my side, if you think I did the right thing, hit like on this video. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this one. Because trust me, I have plenty. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were sitting at that table? I'll see you all in the next story.